Phoenix Down Radio is on the air.
Welcome everybody to Phoenix Down Radio, episode number 114. I am your host, Klauss Nightbringer, and joining me today, we have a most interesting potato somewhere in the world.
Somewhere in the world.
Somewhere in the world. Where in the world is this most interesting potato?
Currently Tokyo, tomorrow Manila, the day after that Vancouver, British Columbia.
So yeah, quite the,
It's been a
the
week.
traveler.
So if you guys were here 2 weeks ago, I mentioned that I was moving to Japan for work, and it was a pseudo-permanent thing, and I was going to figure it out, and I didn't know how it was going to work. So everything exploded and didn't go super well. So I'll be back Monday. But that being said, I have been bombing around Tokyo doing stuff for the last week.
Oh, might help if I actually do the thing properly. Give me a second.
Okay, Julie.
No, I forgot to actually hide the HUD. Oh well. Me.
I mean, whatever. I'm just not going to miss an opportunity for that reference.
No,
Oh.
it's worth it.
Well, I don't understand it, so.
Legend of Korra, it's amazing.
What is wrong with you?
A lot of things, apparently, but.
Avatar:
Well,
The
I
Last
mean, yeah.
Airbender 2.
Oh, I don't remember that bit. I have seen Legend of Korra.
The ones that were effectively Tony Stark and Pepper Potts?
I don't remember that bit, though.
Julie, do the thing.
And do the thing meant everything from like activate the jetpack to blow up the nuclear reactor to throw a bomb off the end of the plane to marry him. It was great.
And she understood.
Every single time.
Apparently, I'm a
relationship
terrible
goals.
person.
Relationship goals.
Seriously.
Anyway, we do also have a Seyrr joining us. Seyrr, how are you today?
I navigated federal bureaucracy without a legal photo ID. It was great. Being courteous gets you a long way.
That like
Does.
deserves a medal or something, I think.
I'm just apparently very good at government now.
You bureaucrat.
You do work for
Woo!
a school, right?
I work for a city.
A library.
Oh, yeah, no. So you're good.
Yeah, so actually, yeah, I'm taking on a temporary part-time job. The census needs enumerators. This year is a census. The census is awesome. Fill out your census accurately so that your area can get proper funding, and we can have accurate demographic counts of the United States, which are important for so many things. But yes, I'm going to be an enumerator for them,
Woo.
which mostly means counting people and things.
Sarah's gonna count the people.
Yeah, and tell them why it's very important that they fill this out.
1, 2,
We're gonna call you the count. 3.
Mr. Tomato, you have been counting people for 3 days, and you are only
Fortunately-
at 12.
Fortunately, it pays well enough that I can deal with this kind of nonsense from you people. They cover my mileage too.
Yeah, that's nice.
Oh, that's really
You
nice.
gotta like that.
Yeah.
But that's cool. Anything else you guys have been up to?
I actually got some levels in Eureka Pagos. That was fun.
Oh.
It's so much easier now. I just put on a podcast and I start chopping things with an axe, and all of a sudden I gain some levels.
Yeah, we recommend putting on Phoenix Down Radio.
Well, that wasn't blatant.
Sorry.
Just listen to like year 1 Phoenix Town Radio and see where we were at.
Oh, God.
Hear how much we've improved. Hear how much we have improved.
Hear how much we haven't improved.
That's also true.
The sound quality might be better, but the content, not so much.
Questionable at best. Questionable at best.
We do what we do, but we have fun doing it.
That's the best part.
Yeah, I got Ninja to 60.
Nice.
I've been doing a bunch of other random things within the game. Sit on the other side, Sarah, if you would. I did the Valentines Event.
I did that as well. I was actually like 90% of the reason that I decided to piecemeal my PS4 setup together so that I could play.
I believe tonight's the last night for that, isn't it? At least
Tonight
for the
is the
voting
last
part?
night for the voting part. The voting ends at 6:59 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow. So if you have not yet voted for your for the new Paramour of Amor, make sure to do that.
So do we
They're
get
all
like a new
problematic in
quest?
different ways.
Oh God, yeah.
Technically, yes, there is a different quest line that will be starting based off of who won on each server.
I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious who all is going to win. There's been a lot of fierce debate about whose methods are least problematic.
Because, yeah, none of them are great.
No, they're all gross, realistically.
But gross in different ways.
It's true.
Mama
I will
Dragon,
say-
thanks for following. We appreciate that. And thanks for joining us.
Good. I'm looking forward to see kind of how it plays out. I do like this particular event. And the outfit is not something I am going to wear, but it's something I might put on Agkurag because it looks really good.
I mean,
Yeah.
the top is dapper as fuck. Come on.
Yeah,
I have
it is.
seen a lot of people put in on their custom delivery NPCs.
No, I'm keeping this one all to myself.
Well, I'm gonna buy the one for the girls too, so I can put it on Chloe.
That is a good point. It is worthwhile picking up the other gender version of it so that you can clothe retainers or others in it. This is one where people were it's worth getting both of them for this event.
Yeah, and it's I think it's only one chocolate piece per item of clothing. So
Yeah, it's really easy to just do the maze a couple of times and be done.
I'm kind of over that whole maze thing though, but it's the only way you can get your chocolates. So
I think we do each thing like 2 years and then we drop it, right? Like we did the Posing Rangers for 2 years.
No, we only did Posing Rangers once, but this is the third year of this maze.
Like the Halloween event, they've had the Haunted Manor available as a thing for several years at this point. It wasn't required, but it was certainly there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one is required if you want to get the other events. They're not selling them for guild this time. But I do recommend getting the fountain, though. I picked up a couple of them for the Free Company House, and they're dyeable, so remember that.
Ooh, neat.
Yeah.
So you can get, I believe, different colored chocolate.
The outfits themselves are also dyeable,
Yep.
so you can get something with the appearance of any of the outfits. I think they even called out the dye colors.
They
didn't
did. My only disappointment, though, is nothing matches the black.
You cannot do a monocolor thing. It's true.
It's the black has a slight, at least on this vest, has a slight reddish tinge to it. So if you use like soot black, it doesn't look right. Jet black doesn't look right.
They did a warm black. That's weird.
Yeah, they did.
Ian's show, go-karting was amazing. It was a lot of fun. We drove around Akihabara, Ginza, and Tokyo Station, and it was super fun.
But I'm disappointed you were not able to yell out, "I am Ultraman!"
No, I wasn't. However, it was really interesting finding like the pile of old posters and like the clearly sun-faded stickers that they had like pulled off of the carts because they all said Maricar on the side, and I was like, hold up. And I double-checked on Amazon. I'm like, yep, this was definitely the exact same company. They have a couple different locations. I did the one in Akihabara. There's 2 in Akihabara. There's one at Tokyo Station. There's a couple more. So same company, probably different location.
Get in the Ava, Taliz.
Yeah, I did. It was great. I was very, very cold still. I had a hoodie and like a windbreaker and that onesie thing on, but I was still freezing cold.
It looked like a lot of fun, though.
I never thought about that. Like I thought the costumes were just for fun, but I guess also if it is usually that cold.
It's a motorcycle. If you've ever ridden on a motorcycle, it's like that.
I have not.
Okay, you look at it, you're like, oh, whatever, it's sunny out. It's like, yeah, but you're going 60, 70 miles an hour, and there's nothing between you and the ground but leather and a t-shirt. Like if you've been on a boat,
those are some powerful carts if they're going that fast.
Yeah, we were going like 70 kilometers an hour at a certain spots. They're quick, dude. But yeah, like if you go on a boat, you're like, man, it's freezing because of the wind, even though it's 105 degrees out today. And you're like, well, yeah, we're only going 20 miles an hour. Triple that. It's at night. It was cold.
Makes sense.
Still looked
yeah,
like
it was
a
worth
blast.
it.
I so want to do it.
best $60 I've thrown down in Japan for a while.
Nice. Oh, it's enough, but I think it'd be worth it for the experience.
85 if I wanted to do 2 hours.
2 hours? Holy shit.
85 for 2 hours. And if I had started in the middle of the day and it was summertime, sure. Starting at 4 p.m., absolutely not. It was freezing.
Fair enough. Aside from all that, I want to make sure to throw out a reminder that we will be doing that tomahawk throwing get-together on March 7th. We decided we're going to do it at noon Central Time at Victoria Borough, which is here in Minnesota. So if you're in the area around March 7th, $20 will get you an hour of throwing plus some lessons with that. And if you're not into the whole axe throwing thing, you can also join us for some pretty good food, video games, mini golf, and hopefully lots of fun socialization. So let me know as soon as possible. You can email podcast@phoenixdownradio.com. You can tweet us at PHXDNradio, or you can hit me up on my personal Twitter at PHXDN_Klauss, Klauss. Just let me know soon because I want to get those reservations made so we can plan this out and have an amazing time. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into some game and community news. I want to start by throwing out some happy birthdays to some awesome people. On the 6th, our very own Aurori had a birthday, as well as everybody's favorite former Final Fantasy XIV community team member, Akmorn. Happy birthday!
Yay!
Wait, I feel like we shouldn't say it on the actual birthday.
Well, it's not her birthday now, so happy birthday! And then
one of these days, she's just gonna like haul off and murder all y'all, and I'm gonna say I saw it coming.
You're gonna be included, dude.
I don't say this. I try to get other
in-
people to chill a bit.
You're guilty by
I'm going
association.
into Gamer Escape to try to find what the equivalent of popcorn is around here so I can watch.
Good boy.
And then on the 7th, a friend of ours, Kyle Spender, also had a birthday.
Yep. He is one of the he's my best friend since college. God, so many years ago. And he's the person that I bounce a lot of my ideas off of. Usually he has his feet a little more solidly on the ground than I do, so he's been a source of ideas and commentary throughout a lot of what I do. I'm able to do because of him.
Very nice. He's still a member of my former free company, Phoenix Down, and really nice guy. So want to wish him a happy birthday and hope you guys had an amazing time.
Yep. I don't know what else he did during the day. He usually keeps his birthdays fairly low key, but we spent the evening attempting to four-man Tsukiyomi with his brother and his boyfriend.
Oh, nice.
It went mostly pretty well, though folks are still having a little trouble dropping the meteors in the right spot. I think some of the waypoints got mixed up a few times, but we were picking it up towards the end. I think next time we'll get it.
Can't forget about this. Come on.
I still haven't beaten that fight. That's something I should probably get on at some point.
It's been a while since I have beaten it, but it's a
at
good
this
fight.
point you can go in unsynced and probably just smash it at this point.
And that's what they were doing.
Yeah, we were doing 4-man unsynced, so we had 3. They tried 3-man a bit while I was finishing up. Oh, I finally got the gayest fish in the game, Warden of the Seven Hues.
Congratulations.
That thing was. It's not hard so much as involved and tedious, and the thing sells for like 7 million gil.
Wow.
It only fits in a tier 4 aquarium, so it's a giant fish that has rainbow coloring. A lot of people want it for decoration.
I like turtles.
I think you should get 2 of them.
Are you suggesting that I finance a mansion entirely from gay fish?
Yes, actually
Because
I
I am here for that.
I will be back on Monday and I will help you fish.
You do know how much fishing Seyrr does, right?
Yes.
I only have 5 gaps in my fish guide now.
I think I've caught 5 fish in all of Shadowbringers. I go out, I catch the fish one time, I immediately stop fishing, go back to Limsa, and send my retainer after that fish.
But then you don't get the thrill of the hunt yourself.
I don't want the thrill of the hunt. I want fish.
Because you want to fill
I'm
your
a
bag with
monster.
fish?
I want to fill the bag with fish and swing it around.
Like chili? He likes to fill his
Good.
retainers with fish?
At least I can fly.
Shots fired.
Oof.
Love you, Chili.
How did I even get on that? I was talking about the Warden of the Seven Hues.
We talked about birthdays, birthday
Oh,
fish.
yeah.
I don't know. Hey guys, there's a game coming out in April we should talk about.
Yeah, there's been actually,
Ooh.
and since the last episode, there's been a lot of Final Fantasy VII news. If you guys have not seen it, there was a brand new trailer with a whole new theme song that was released last week. Let's link that for everybody here.
It was and is amazing and super, super cool.
Make sure to go check that out, preferably after the show, or if you have seen it. There's a lot of stuff that's in that trailer. Holy shit! Like, we get to see a lot of the Honeybee Inn stuff. We get to see Cloud in his pretty little dress.
There's stuff in the trailer that was like, oh, that's amazing and is so cool. I'm so glad that we get some more information. At the Square Enix Cafe, new location in Akihabara, a friend of mine was taking pictures, and you can tell that there was posters put up before and after that trailer came out, because there's stuff on posters and in cardboard stands and whatnot that's specifically related to the honeybee and images of Cloud in the dress, stuff that we didn't have before. And then there's also a bunch of frames and whatnot that doesn't have anything in it yet. So there's more stuff coming, and it's all being staged out. So
Yeah,
be ready.
Yeah, aside from seeing Cloud in a dress, we also got our first glimpse at Red 13.
Who looks incredibly good.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Like, the feedback I've been hearing is a lot of people who would go and they played the original FF7 like, oh my gosh, this is so much blockier. This thing is so, like, it doesn't quite live up to, but that when they've looked at this, they said, this looks like what my memories are.
Yes. And that's one of the cool things about human memory is that if you try to actually play Final Fantasy VII right now, you go, dear God, how many colors is this? 8? Like, it looks horrid. The backgrounds look gorgeous, but the actual character models look janky. And then you go into now and you go, no, this looks right. This is what I remember seeing. But what it actually was very blocky Gen 1, PlayStation 1 graphics. Now, human memory is crazy what we actually see.
Yeah, we also got to see Genova,
Ugh.
as well
So
as a
creepy.
lot of bosses and employees of Shinra Electric Corporation. We see Scarlet. We get to see Hojo. We see just an amazing storyline that's laid out for us. And
We even had Palmer there, and he was
Yep.
talking all about his beloved butter.
You're not
That
wrong.
was weirdly silly and a very cool little
Yeah,
little
I mean,
detail just to go with.
the original translation, he was going on about making sure to include the lard, so this would be something that kind of conveys that essence really well.
Yep.
Well, I mean, they do butter and coffee is kind of a thing to a lot of
Yeah.
people now. You know, bulletproof coffee, so to speak. But
Yep. I've done like the coconut
Yep.
oil in coffee. It was not a fun experience.
I guess some people really like it. I'll pass.
I have a friend who accidentally added, I think it was soy sauce to his coffee once, and then ended up trying it out of curiosity and was like, this is less horrible than I thought it would be.
It's just salt. Yeah.
Yeah, and salt helps tame bitterness, so...
This coffee has so much umami.
Meanwhile, your heart is just like, dude, you could have like eaten a pound of poutine or a sip of this coffee and it would have been the same result as far as your cardiac arrest.
Well, I suppose depending on
let's
how...
get Putin.
Poutine. Who doesn't love cheese curds, right?
People who are wrong, and I guess the lactose intolerant, but they're also wrong.
It was true.
But it's not their fault.
Well, yeah, they can't help being wrong, but they are wrong. Don't at me.
You are technically correct. The best kind of correct.
Damn right.
But along with that, they also released a behind-the-scenes making of the new theme song called Hallo. And our favorite composer, Nobuo Uematsu, is actually the main man behind this new theme. And I believe the vocalist is Yosh from... I'm terrible with band names.
I can't believe the dude's still working.
I was actually going to say, does this mean he's back to work? Because he was not doing anything like a year ago.
I mean,
Because
it
of
might
health
be like
issues.
it might be that he's taken enough time off and he's up for it again, or it might be that this is like a one-time thing. Don't know.
Okay.
One-time thing, or it's super part-time.
Yeah.
Yosh is from Survive Said the Prophet, a Japanese rock band.
Oh, that band is awesome.
Yes.
Never heard of him, but the name's cool.
So that's who the singer is behind that very haunting tone. But check out that video when they talk all about it. I also watched another kind of behind the trailer video done by Final Fantasy Union, and they talk about how many different composers are actually on a lot of the new Final Fantasy games. Like I think they said 15 had 11 different composers. So, and there's at least now 3 that we're aware of on 7. So
That's a bunch.
yeah, and there's probably even more yet that have been working on it. I mean, Square Enix has no shortage of talented songwriters and composers. So
Yeah, and the scope of these types of games, it feels impossible for one person to do it all at this point. You kind of need a team.
yeah, I mean, we always think of Soken doing all the work on 14, but he is not alone.
No, he's got a huge team of people that work with him.
Exactly. So, if any of the music that's been coming out of Square Enix is a clue, and this song is any indication, we're in for a treat when it comes to the music from the remake.
I'm excited.
All
April
right.
10th.
And there's also a lot of other promotion going on in Japan. There is a Sky Tree Final Fantasy VII crossover event going on in Tokyo as well, and somebody in here went to go see it.
I did.
He did.
So there's actually a couple of different things that are going on crossover wise. The first is that shit is just everywhere, all over Akihabara, all over Shibuya, all over buses. It is literally everywhere you can find Final Fantasy VII related stuff. They know what they're doing for this. Especially in Shinjuku, which is where SE's office is. You can see it a lot on the little mini screens inside of trains and subways. They have a lot of little commercials playing for it. In Akihabara, Square Enix Cafe moved from their old small location to a larger location, mostly in order to be big enough to do this crossover event, have more merch, have special menu items. And then you go into the Sky Tree. The Sky Tree is taller than Tokyo Tower. For all of my Seattle friends, the Space Needle is 138 meters tall at its tallest point. The lower observation deck of the Sky Tree is 350 meters.
Ooh.
The upper one is 450 meters.
So that's up there a little bit.
The event is called Midgar or Sky Tree and Midgar, or Midgar and Sky Tree. I don't remember which.
Are there 65 tree floors? Do you have to walk up all of them?
No.
Tifa and Barrett, bitch?
No. However, they do have, you remember the bar was called Seventh Heaven?
Yep.
The bar / event area is called 340th Heaven because it's at the 340 meter mark.
Right.
The 350 is the view room. 350, or was I think you come off at 345 and you can either go up into the viewing area or down into the restaurant and shop. So that was a super crazy fun time. They have images, they have content. If you look at my Twitter at Taliz Marvelous, I actually tweeted out a picture of Barrett, tagged John Bentley in it, and they had cases of toys, the original 1996, 1997 toys.
Damn.
And they're under glass and they're with a rope and there's armed guards around this stuff. It's insane how
Wow.
much cool shit there was. There's whole sections where like you're not allowed to take pictures, which is one of the weird things about Japan. You're not allowed to really take pictures of a lot of touristy stuff, which is super annoying. But also it does kind of ruin that experience for everybody else when everybody has their phones out. So you really just get to see it in person. But it was a lot of fun to see everything from here's the initial concept art and original pitch in writing all the way up to this is what's coming out in April.
Like, it's a full-on cultural event, it sounds like.
It absolutely is. And like we kind of pick on 7 as just like, man, can Square Enix make another game? That'd be nice. But yes, they can. They have. But think about what this has done for tourism and commerce right now, where it's $38 just to go up there, just to look at all this stuff. And it was absolutely worth it.
Sounds like it.
Super, super fun. If you are in Tokyo sometime between now and April 22nd, that is how long the event is going through. And they should have all of the stuff up for that amount of time.
Oh, so it goes just shortly after launch.
Correct. It started on the 6th, actually. So it actually started after I got here and will be done about 2 weeks after launch. Yeah.
Very cool. I'm glad you were able to be there be at the right place at the right time, apparently.
Literally randomly. And this happens. Like I got to go to Makoto Shinkai Art Museum like 2 years ago because it just happened to be going on while I was here. But that being said, if you do follow me on Twitter, I did post a lot of stuff. I've also posted a lot to my Instagram. So if you want to see pictures of weird food and cool coasters, I have them.
Woo! You're still a lucky bastard.
What about weird coasters and cool food?
Yes, except for not anymore because the AKB48 cafe is now closed.
Sadness.
I was so sad. I didn't think that my last time here would be my last time there.
Yeah.
Music videos and melon soda. It was awesome.
Oh,
That does sound really nice, actually.
oh.
Damn it.
I mean,
I
they
wanna
are
travel
AK
now, but money.
They are AKB48 music videos, so there's only so much you can really do.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on to some Final Fantasy XIV news. Final Fantasy XIV team, or some of them, will be at PAX East. Yoshida and lead character concept artist Yusuke Mogi will be hosting a panel on February 28th at 3 p.m. Eastern, as well as being a part of 2 signing sessions. And I believe if you attend the panel, you will get a 2-sided poster that you will be able to bring with to one of the signing sessions because you get a ticket to one of those as well, which is really actually kind of neat that they're doing that for the attendees.
They definitely want to make sure that people that want signatures can get them because they know that not everybody does. But by having it available, it's definitely helpful.
Absolutely. And of course, it wouldn't be a Final Fantasy XIV at a non-FanFest event without having a battle challenge. And this one will be featuring Ruby Weapon.
How appropriate.
Well, I mean, the patch will have dropped before they get there, so.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, it's just kind of like, okay, all the various bits going together.
Yeah.
And especially with the FF7 hype and everything.
Mm-hmm. There will also be Final Fantasy XIV lanyards and a small amount of scarves available while supplies last.
Anybody going to PAX East that acquires one of these scarves should message me at Taliz Marvelous on Twitter because I definitely want one.
They look nice. They look really cool.
It looks so good.
Yeah, and for Taliz to say that must be something special because Taliz doesn't save anything.
I don't. I am a monster. I own 8 t-shirts now.
And that's like a 3-year high.
Yeah. Yeah. I usually had 6. It was brutal.
Damn.
Um,
Every day is laundry day.
No, once a week.
Do
I
you
had
like
system
have a
managers.
scheduled rotation for your clothing?
Yes.
Doesn't everybody?
Monday, I wear this outfit. I'm
No.
only part joking here.
I mean, it's okay. Here's the problem: is I can say things like 4 days a week I wear a shirt with a Hachiroku on it. Well, yeah, I own 4 Hachiroku shirts. It's not that hard to do. But no, all of my shirts kind of go in rotation, where it's like I have a bunch of Hachiroku shit, and then I have like 2 Boomslang shirts and whatever my SoccerCon shirt was from the year before. Like that's it. That's all I own.
Man, like I need to clean out some stuff, but I still can't imagine doing that.
It's very tricky. It's a weird, stupid thing that takes entirely too long and was not worth the effort, frankly.
I think I have more Phoenix Down Radio t-shirts than you have shirts.
Damn.
See, that's the thing is I need a Phoenix Down shirt, but like I have to get rid of something.
Yeah.
in
No,
order
you
to
don't.
get that.
You can
Yes,
you can add it to your collection and go to 9.
yes, but then I'd have to buy another hanger.
I'll give you a hanger at FanFest, okay?
Anyway.
Or when you go to redbubble.com and search for Phoenix Down Radio, you can request a hanger.
Comments include hanger. I'm gonna start doing that when I buy shirts just to see what happens.
Oh my god. I do
I
think I
want
need
to
to
see what happens.
I do think I need to bring you a t-shirt though at for FanFest.
I'd be down with that.
I mean, you could always just like fold it and put it in a shadow box under glass and never wear it.
What fun is that?
Weird. Everything I own, I use.
Yeah, he doesn't have decorative things either, remember?
Right. This is trickier than I thought.
Remember, he doesn't have a permanent domicile. He is a nomad. He is a
Well, I
Ronin.
mean, I did sort of for 4 years, and now I don't anymore. I mean, I will say, as soon as this exploded, my former roommate Bannon was like, "Hey, I haven't painted your room yet," and I was like, "I'm actually going somewhere else for a hot second, but so go ahead and paint the room and do whatever. We'll touch base later."
All right. There will also be a new player experience area with the free starter edition for those who participate. I think that's an amazing thing to do. I mean, great way to get, people playing for free because it includes a free 30-day subscription. So,
And for any event like this, you don't want it to just be the players who are already playing who come and do stuff. It's nice if you can attract some new blood in.
yeah, I mean, because it's an event like PAX, it's not something that's specifically for Final Fantasy like FanFest would be. So, I mean, it's a great opportunity to bring in people who would potentially be interested. So, join one of the 18 million people.
No.
There will also be merch available for purchase, as well as a fan gathering that evening of Friday, February 28th at the Brahmin Bar. Let me get a link for that as well. And that looks like a lot of fun. So if you're going to be going to PAX East, definitely look into that. And I was going to say hi for us, but Yoshi is not going to know who we are, I swear to God. Right? At least I don't think so.
I mean, I think Moose is going to be there, so if you see him, give him a hard time for me.
Yeah,
Tell him that I sent you.
I'm pretty sure
Ask him-
Fusion is going to be there too. Fusion X, also from Etherite Radio. Gamerscape.
Ask him about the bubblegum frappe.
Seems like there's a story behind that.
There is. I'll
gotta
tell you about it later.
All right. The next duty commenced will be this coming Wednesday, February 12th, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, and they will be on the Goblin server over on Crystal. So if you're on the Crystal Data Center and want to take part in the Valentines Event, some PvP, or any of the other fun stuff that Aya and Danielle and the others have planned, make sure to stop by. The giveaway is going to be an otter lamp, and it looks adorable as hell.
Aww.
They are pretty adorable.
Yeah. It would go great next to my Tonberry lamp.
Ooh,
Not gonna lie, that does sound super cute.
it does.
And it's going to be on the twitch.tv/Final Fantasy XIV Twitch channel. So the other big bit of news that we got besides the live letter, which we'll be talking about in a second, is FanFest.
Yes.
Dude, I am like absolutely stoked.
I was not expecting San Diego, but it makes a lot of sense. I mean, they manage Comic-Con, so...
Yes, as Seyrr just blurted out, NA
Oh,
FanFest
come on, they knew.
will be at San Diego November 6th and 7th. We were wrong. NA is still first.
Yeah, we got a bunch of stuff wrong, like not LA, and North America's still first.
Yep.
Still California, so
Yeah.
we got that.
Yeah, there's going to be plenty of room. The San Diego Convention Center can handle up to 125,000 people, but they're not going to be renting the entire facility because at least one area is going to be taken up by a diabetes convention, I believe. Was that what it was?
I think
Something
so.
like that.
The place is huge. I'm sure
Mhm.
it's going to be fine.
Yeah. So I don't think that they're going to go quite to 50,000 people like Nick Nar in the chat is saying, but they'll probably open it up to about 15,000 people. That's my
I mean,
my guess.
how many,
Sorry, you're cutting out there, Mr. Roboto.
how many was it in previous years?
The NA FanFest in 2018 was about 5,000 to 6,000.
So yeah, even if they like turned it to 15,000, that's still tripling the number of people who can get in.
Absolutely. It's going to be more along the lines of what the size of the FanFest in Tokyo was in 2019. That was about 15,000. And that was only in part of that Tokyo Convention Center. I believe that's where they do TGS. So
Yes, TGS is there. Also, TGS is in, I believe, September. So, like, we're going to get some stuff at TGS. We're going to get some stuff at PAX West in September. And then we're going to have FanFest in November.
Yep.
It's going to be a very busy fall.
Yep. Like many other people out there, I've already got my hotel room booked. And I did see that a few hotels were already full. So if you...
Yeah.
The nice thing about most hotels is they're going to have pretty good cancellation policies. So that's the biggest reason why I booked is I've got up until the day before to cancel.
Yeah, I do the same thing for like most conventions is once I know the dates like a year before, I'll book the room and then it's like, hey, the room block is open. I'll call or use the website and be like, hi, I need to move this reservation into that block. Or I need to cancel this, or I need to get staff rate or whatever. Because once I have the room, they're not going to get rid of the room.
Yeah, I'm not sure they're going to have much for block rates, at least for this, since there's like no attached hotel.
No.
We'll see. I mean, even for a lot of conventions I've seen, they'll usually have a block rate at least at some of the hotels.
Yeah, or they may offer some kind of discount that you can utilize.
I mean, I expect it to be less of a clusterfuck than what was going on with the Vegas ones, where, for instance, when people canceled their reservation, they were not released back into the block, but became standard rooms.
Yeah,
that was dumb.
That's a little bit of a crappy deal, but yeah, it is what it is. The only thing that I noticed is the hotels, on average, are quite a bit more expensive in San Diego than they were in Vegas.
Yeah, they're not subsidized by casinos, so they got to make their money on room rental, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it might be just a touch more expensive on average, but it's going to be an amazing time, and I can't wait to find out when tickets actually go on sale. But as far as the other fan fests, they also announced the Japanese fan fest is going to be December 19th and 20th in Nagoya, Japan, which is to the west of Tokyo. Is that correct?
It is. It is southwest of Tokyo. It is closer to Kobe and Osaka than it is to Tokyo at all. Actually, you'd probably end up flying into Kansai Airport and then training your way eastward if you don't fly directly to Nagoya. As far as like lodging and Airbnb and that kind of stuff, if you do end up wanting to come to the Japan one, Airbnb has a lot of specific rules in Japan, specifically in Tokyo, but it's kind of gone countrywide. You do need to give them a copy of your passport, like a photocopy. They can usually do it at the location. They ask for things like where you work, what your permanent address is, your full name separately from their actual registration for like Airbnb, just because the Japanese government really wants to keep track of who's in and who's out. Most of that was over the last year and a half was because of the Olympics happening this year. But in the future, if you do come here, expect it to be a little bit harder than grabbing that Airbnb from the mountain town 3 hours away. It might be a little bit more difficult than you're used to, but it's still not super hard. Just allocate an extra 20 minutes to the registration process for it.
And then the EU FanFest will be February 20th and 21st in London.
Oh, that'll be easy for Chile.
Yep. So Chile may be going to 2 potentially.
So something Chile did mention for people that are heading there, apparently if you want to get a visa waiver temporary visitor pass to the UK now, courtesy of Brexit, that's going to run you about £95, I think he said.
Yep.
And it's good for 6 months, which is cool if you want to spend 6 months there. But if you're spending like 4 days there, it's kind of ass, frankly.
Yeah.
So go do what people do when stuff is near, Disneyland or whatever. Go a week early, do all the stuff in town, and then go to your event. So if you're going to go to London, go to London. Don't just go to FanFest because you're going to have to pay the same for that visa regardless. So extra allocation.
Something out of it.
It's just also a lot of the demographic for this game. Not everybody has disposable income to the point where they can just burn it and make it happen. So you're going to have to get a place to stay. You're going to have to deal with transportation and food. You're going to have to fly there. And now you're also going to have to throw down $100 just to be there. It's starting to add up pretty quick. Mm-hmm. And you haven't gone to FanFest and bought plushies and t-shirts yet.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Exactly. But like I said, there's no announced date for ticket sales. But there have been rumblings of a Final Fantasy XIV content creators event, possibly the night before FanFest. So make sure to follow us so you can keep up on more information. And as Chili in the chat says, make sure that when you go to the UK for FanFest in London, go visit Scarborough. Go say hi to the werewolves.
Visit the other potato on the other side of the planet.
Yes. Well, Chili's going to actually be in London, but he might drag you along and show you all around Scarborough.
I'd be super down for that, actually. That'd be
awesome.
awesome.
Actually sounds kind of fun.
Yeah, it would be an amazing time. I would love to go all over the place, and UK is on my list of places to visit, along with Japan, but no, sadly, it's not in the cards to go to all 3 FanFests.
Just had it in the cards to go to all 3. You could. You'd have to sell your house.
Yeah, I'd have... and get rid of all of my belongings. I have more than 8 shirts, Taliz.
This is a fixable problem.
I don't know what that's like. Yeah, just have me come to your house. I'll take care of it.
You're gonna Marie Kondo on me, huh?
See, I was getting rid of stuff before she was a thing, so I think I just don't like owning shit.
All right. Anyway, so that kind of does it for all the game and community news that I have. If you guys have an event with your group in Final Fantasy XIV or just in general that you want to tell us all about, you can email us podcast@phoenixstormradio.com. We will be happy to share it with the rest of the community that listens. So feel free to share that information with us. So now let's go ahead and jump into the meat and potatoes of our discussion, and that would be Live Letter 57. We are going to use Nova Chrysalis and Gamerscape's summaries of the Live Letter. Now, I was awake.
Along with a lot of rewatching the videos.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I've watched it like 3 times.
Now
Klaus and I did like a frame-by-frame thing earlier this afternoon.
For the trailer, yeah. That's all I actually saw of the Live Letter, because I was awake for it. But unfortunately, I was awake because I had to be at work early, so I didn't get to watch any of the Live Letter.
I was at work. I was awake because it was 8 p.m.
Yeah?
You and your time zones.
A friend of mine was actually at Cafe Orzia, and they switched all the screens off of playing trailers and videos, and they switched them to playing the Live Letter. And so the whole room was full of 14 players at this theme cafe just watching the live letter. And it wasn't over when they were supposed to close. They just said, "Man, fuck it." And they shut down food and drink service and just let everybody stay.
That's
till it was
freaking awesome,
over.
isn't it?
It was great.
I linked the cinematic trailer in the Twitch chat. It'll also be in all the show notes as well for those of you listening on the podcast. So we didn't forget about you. And
really
for kicks and
good.
giggles, later on we'll also link the YouTube video for the entire live letter, which was, I believe, 4.5 hours long. So,
Yeah, it was insanely long.
yeah, lots to talk about. So as Seyrr said before the show tonight, we actually did sit down and go scene by scene in this cinematic trailer to kind of go over everything that we see. And I normally don't do that for the trailers because I just like to enjoy them as the event that they are now. But there is a lot of stuff in this.
Yeah, it was pretty much to the point where we were going back and forth and like calling out timestamps of like, okay, now look at the thing at 2:25.
Yeah, I'm
There's
sorry.
a lot going on here.
I forgot to write down the timestamps in our little discussion here.
No worries,
but,
no worries. You've got plenty here. It's
Yeah.
fine.
I mean, this whole thing starts off with Ruby Weapon, for fuck's sake. Like,
Yeah.
holy shit.
Boom, it's out there.
Yeah. And there's a lot of fight scenes in this. I would say it's a very nice homage to the original Ruby Weapon. But it almost looks like Ruby Weapon has not been skipping leg day for the past 20-some years. He's got some chonky legs. Come on.
Chunk.
Some of it kind of reminds me of Emerald Weapon's lower legs.
I'm wondering if they reskinned or rebalanced that particular art asset.
Because it was very kind of thin in comparison.
Yeah.
It had the bigger top, but the legs weren't proportional. Whereas this looks like it could actually stand and hold the weight of such a large monstrosity.
And that feels like that's going to be another one of those. If you based it on the original one, people are going to be like, "That's not what I remember," because your memory edits the.
But
Oh yeah.
overall, Ruby Weapon looks good. I would imagine that once we see Ruby Weapon in like part 2 or 3 of the remake, that it's going to be the same style.
I hope so.
I mean, that's one thing Square Enix is consistent across their games, especially when they have enemies based off of or something that's iconic to the series, like cactuars and chocobos and stuff like that. So
They learned from Final Fantasy 12,
yeah,
specifically thinking of cactars.
and Moogles.
Yeah.
Well, actually, those Moogles were kind of like the tactics ones too, weren't they?
I don't mind
Evolution and Moogles are their own thing.
I was gonna say I don't mind Evilisi and Moogle.
Yeah.
It was the like really weird cactuars that I was like, what the hell is that?
Oh, interesting.
Anyway,
Just want to throw this out there because Chili had a highlighted message in the chat today. He says, if you've never played Final Fantasy 15, it's free on Game Pass if you have the Xbox Game Pass.
oh shit, awesome.
Includes all
Definitely
the
play
DLC
15.
minus episode art in. So,
Pretty neat.
and like I said, I liked 15. I thought it was a good game, but let's
I
get back
haven't
to
finished
Live
it. I'd rather like to.
Well, there you go, Sarah. You should maybe stream that sometime. Okay, so like I said, it starts out with Ruby Weapon, and then we get a scene with a pair of All Raw, and we were thinking that might be a couple of the NPCs from the Sorrow of Werlet quests that we're going to be getting in this new patch.
Yeah, I did go ahead and recheck. The patch site does include a picture of those two under the Sorrow of Werlet stuff, which is the name of the quest line relating to the weapons.
And
So they seem to be involved with it somehow, though how remains to be seen.
and then we see Gaius is in Alamigo talking to Rauban. So
That's got to be a weird conversation.
right.
It's gonna be a really weird conversation.
Yeah, sorry about the whole enslaving your homeland thing. No hard feelings, right?
Are we cool? Are we cool?
We cool,
No,
bro?
fair. But also, what do we do?
What, do you want to chop my arm off too? No.
Oh
I mean,
God,
Gaius
no.
wasn't really responsible for that.
No, I know.
bit.
I know. Still.
Can you
Ish.
imagine Gaia showing up and being like, "Where the shit is your arm?" And he'll be like, "It's a thing. Don't
gonna
worry
be,
about it.
like,
Let's move on." Good
I'd
lord.
like to think Gaius would be slightly classier than that.
He probably is, honestly.
Be
Yeah. So it's
walking
like,
into it like,
shit happens. Shit happens on the battlefield. You don't make a thing of it. Don't stare.
Nope. Let it happen.
then we see the Warrior of Light and the Scions walking into what looks like an area similar to. Initially, we thought it was Crystal Tower, but on second thought, we look deeper and it's similar architecture to what was in the Academia Aniter. So
Yeah.
we think this is going to be in
Which-
that new Aniter zone.
To be fair, like a lot of that elegant stuff was probably influenced by Emmett Selk's taste.
Very possible.
Some of the I checked in with the lore mongers on some of the details here. We were batting about ideas of it, but yeah, a lot of the areas look similar to some of the arenas that we fought in during Academia Aniter, which I actually really like the idea of. The hard modes they've often had is kind of a remixed or a different route version of it, and I really like this whole like, okay, it's kind of the dream version versus the reality aged version kind of thing.
Yep. Then we see some really cool things, like we see a boss from the Aniter fight. They show the Katari and Raktika. We get our first glimpse of what it looks like to fish on one of the boats in the ocean.
I do want to call out that boss from the Aniter fight, the large purple Cyclops with those horns. That is pretty much spot on the Cyclops summon from Final Fantasy Tactics.
So it's nice to see that they're still digging into the tactics side of things as well.
Yeah, one wonders if that's perhaps the original concept for a Cyclops. In terms of the Amarot concepts, not in terms of the real world.
Gotcha. They show off the ethereal drill in the Diadem getting used, and that was look. It's so funny to see somebody in a gathering gear with a giant rocket launcher on their shoulder shooting off a huge beam of light.
I am looking forward to busting that thing out.
Right.
I'm just okay. So, not for nothing, but it has been said that we shouldn't be attached to a mistake just because we spent a long time making it. Diadem? Really?
Well, I mean,
Still?
I mean, counterpoint, up until it closed, I still occasionally did Diadem, or I had friends who got in for it. It was a great source of specialty ores for airships and submarines.
and basically now it's going to be it just for gathering.
Like, as a gathering thing, it was still pretty cool.
Yeah, you can make a lot of money. What's nice
Like,
though is
I helped someone assemble multiple submersible parts just from the dark steel ore there, because you don't have to wait for it to be up. You can just gather it. So beautiful.
and it's nice it's no longer going to require any of the ceruleum tanks or vouchers to get in. So basically, anything, all the stuff you spent on those is they're worthless now. Hopefully,
They've been
them in
for a
some-
while.
Hopefully, we can turn in some for some Gil or something.
I mean, I think they're NPCable for Gil.
Okay. Then they showed kind of what looked like a kind of library, but instead of books, it had a whole bunch of green tubes with a few red ones.
Yeah, that bit looks a little bit again like some of the Academia Aniter stuff. The best guess that we have at this point, given what discussion we've already had, is we know that the Amarotines like had their concepts, their Bureau of Concepts where they stored these things. We're wondering if this is somehow like a library of concepts.
Yeah, I mean, because one of the things that's mentioned earlier on in the patch trailer was they're talking about a way to store concepts, and we're wondering maybe if they're going to try and utilize that technology to store the concept of the Scions.
But would that actually store the Scion? Is it like the whole thing? There's a question of like with the idea of a teleporter, if you just like create a duplicate of it, would this actually bring the Scions over? Or would it just kind of create a conceptual duplicate of them? How does that even work? There's some weird.
You mean like
stuff to
Star Trek
sort out here.
teleporters kind of thing?
Yeah, there's some weird stuff to sort out here.
Very true. And then we see after that, we get our first glimpse of Gaia since the FanFest, and looks like she's summoning something, and it's on top of Eden there, and
It wasn't clear to me. It wasn't clear to me whether she's actually summoning it, or it seemed like it might be that she was calling it, or that it was kind of reaching out and she was pushing against it. We only had a very brief instance, so it's hard to tell what's going on in that.
But what was kind of funny is then there's these birds going around, and then we see in a battle them kind of flocking together. So they kind of got the moniker of sin gulls. So we get to fight against a flock of sin gulls. Make sure you run. You run so far away.
Yeah, you better run close.
Just make sure to have the proper haircut.
No. Doesn't need to happen.
And then we get a glimpse into a couple of primal fights that we're going to be seeing.
Well, raid fights.
Well, yeah.
Prime-ish.
Raid fights
It's weird.
against the primals that we quote-unquote remember.
Oh, God.
Rama. Holy shit. That is...
That's not the Rama that I remember, but okay.
It's like... Well, Rama got buffed for one, spouted some badass wings, and decided to merge bodies with Ixion. Holy crap.
I mean, I don't know. That stuff just kind of all merges together in my head after a while. What do you expect from me? I still do like to call back the thing from I think it was the anniversary stream, where they were talking about this exact idea, and Yoshi-P was like, okay, like when you're thinking of Rama, what things come to mind? Comment from the chat. Balls.
At least we do not get Rama's balls.
And his response is like, this is why you get weird primals in Eden.
Or we do get Ramu's balls later on. Who knows?
But I mean, like, it sounds like it's less of a, hey, we're having this clearly defined picture of it, and more like, oh, hey, there are these impressions, there are these bits and pieces that are floating through that get assembled in some way we don't have complete control over.
Then we also see a fight that features Ifrit and Garuda. Not just one, not just the other.
Didn't I also see Shiva in that fight?
No.
I did not. I remember we were theorizing about how it might be fun to have the callback to FF6 to have a tag team between Ifrit and Shiva.
But yeah, it was, I mean, I really, really like the character design that they use for the new Ifrit and Garuda. I mean, it's not too far out of place, but it looks really nice.
As someone that's been playing a lot of World of Final Fantasy, when I see primals, I see very, very different characters than what the primals are supposed to be in 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, those three are very, very different, though.
For sure.
And they did not show the fourth boss. And you know what?
Looking it to be something huge and dramatic that terrifies the raiders.
Hopefully.
I mean, like, that's the reason that we had Titan in a weird go-kart, to fuck up the raiders' day. You know I'm right on this.
It's going to be Shiva in an airplane. I don't know.
Or it could be Shiva on a motorcycle.
They could do the full Elsa.
Shiva on a motorcycle. Come on, guys. We got this.
You want to build a snowman?
The like complete sequence. There's a bit active time event where you have to move through the crystal castle as it assembles.
I hate everything about this.
Excellent. I have done my job.
Damn it.
And this is one where we all lose.
I mean, I got a laugh out of it. I'm calling this a win.
There's
okay,
your
now
fucking
I
laugh.
lose. No regrets.
All right. We get to see the Scions then going into a Ronkin temple. and we see this really interesting mural. We don't know where it's from, but they're bathed in what appears to be a beam of light, and it's surrounded by star showers.
Or, yeah, they look a lot like star showers. Okay, keep going, because I'm going to want to touch on a bit of this.
Yes. And then we get to see, if you've done the tank storyline quest to its completion, you'll see Granson, who is the main NPC from that, talking with the Warrior of Light. Then we see Grahatia and Beck Lug in the Ocular. And we're hearing in the background Ishtola talking about how an event could leave such a deep impact on the soul that it could be perceived eons later. Now, that line really stuck with me. And it's like, what are we talking about?
Not just you. That has a lot of people theorizing.
Yeah.
Sorry, keep going.
And then we see a storm rolling in at the Crystarium. Now, we don't know what that means either, but the scene right after that is, as we kind of called it, it looks like we get to see a floating crystal chalice, kind of somewhat reminiscent from Crystal Chronicles, but not quite. And a bunch of darkness that's kind of emanating towards Gaia on top of Eden. And we hear in the background Reen, we believe, saying that this light is too much for her to bear.
Yeah, I had to do a lot of the checking on this one because I don't listen to everything in Japanese voices.
Well, like I said, that's why I don't know what the English voices are quite like.
Yeah.
So
no, I had to check a lot of these since I actually hear the English voices from time to time.
But do you think that you feel good about that? And then we see a number of spectral images of the Amarosians surrounding the Scions in what we believe is going to be the Anamnesis and Eider. It's kind of a cool looking scene where we're just kind of, they're like, if you've ever watched Star Wars and their communications where they've got the little 3D projection coming up, it kind of looks like that. I want that for real.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah. Or
thing.
anytime you see like a transmission disc or something like that, it just kind of, that type of thing. And then we see what appears to be Dalmascan architecture with a whole bunch of Garlean gunships in the midst of that. There's just a lot of shit going on. We see what we think might be the Bozja Citadel. And Makoto and Sid.
There was a bit of debate around what exactly that could be, since there's some elements reminiscent of others. But for those things I pointed to, in the back you see the walls with the crenellations very much we saw on Baelsar's wall out in at the Alamegan border. So that looked to me rather a lot like a Garlean fortification, which, given everything else we know, suggests the Bozja Citadel.
And then we get to see, like I said, Makoto and Sid are running with us, as we're fighting against Garleans, and then we're also being helped by the Hrothgar. So that's why we're thinking that this might be the Bozja Citadel, because that is kind of going to lead into what we see in 5.25 with the new stuff for the Blades of Gunhildr quest line, I believe.
Yeah, this was also something where it was said that you would need to complete the Return to Evil East content. Mikoto, that scholarly aura there, did have her introduction in the Return to Evil East content. Given everything we know, one of the things about this trailer is there's a lot of cuts between different content that I think was meant to suggest or imply that they're connected, but it looks like it's scenes from actually a lot of different content intermixed. It seems a little like they're toying with our expectations again.
Yeah, so there's a
lot of
jumping back and forth. So everything we're talking about, some of it is linked together, but other parts, like some of it's on the source, some of it's on the first. But like I said, we're just going through what we see.
Yeah, they are playing with us hardcore.
Yeah, because the next scene is not Ardbert, and the Scions in Raktika. And then we get to see a mosaic of what we believe is Hydaelyn.
Yeah, Highland's our best guess right now.
I mean, it's similar to those really early drawings that we saw where Highland was, or a light-looking kind of angelic chibi kind of thing is jumping on a dark one. It's
Right.
a similar shape to that, but with a little bit more features. And then we get, where are we at? More cutting back to Makoto, and then the Warrior of Light's holding white aura sight, and then we see Sid cough up blood in this Imperial fortification, and then it goes back to Ardbert
I swear to
again.
God, if they kill Sid in 5.x, I'm gonna lose my shit.
A lot of
I severely doubt they'd do that.
he's dead.
I need
He's gonna
him.
die.
He's great. No,
He's totally gonna die.
no,
Squareness
All right,
has
so
been
Klauss is
listening.
banned from speaking now.
stop it,
Too bad it's my podcast. Just kidding.
stop it.
Yeah, it's weird how that works, that you can be banned from speaking on your own podcast.
I don't know. I part of me is like,
No, I agree.
I was replaying through ARR with my KupoCon friends, and I'm sitting here going, I met the Scions for the first time, where everybody's in the room together for the first time, and I was like, wow, this scene is very weird now, knowing everything I know.
Yeah.
So when main character death is talked about, I'm like, I know it has to happen sometimes, but man, do I not want to deal with it.
Yeah. I mean, we've had a few main characters, die, but
Fight it. Yeah.
not. There's certain ones that I think there would be rioting in the streets if SC were to kill them.
Now, just
Agreed.
remember to point out to your friends from KupoCon just how much faster they pick up that one body.
Yeah.
God, those brutal fuckers.
Yeah.
Love them.
And then we cut back to not Ardbert again in the Crystarium with us, and then we cut back to the Sid, Makoto, and the Warrior of Light, but popping in to join us are all the Scions.
And Reen. Like that
And Reen.
one. For those who are looking at the trailer, it's at about 2 minutes and 25 seconds. I noted this time because I have referenced it in so many conversations. Normally, when we're watching these trailers, even with the jumping back and forth between stuff, there's some amount of, okay, this probably relates to this content because this thing's showing up. This relates to this. Like there's those for each of the things to fall into. So even though they may be playing some tricks with us, you could tell like, okay, what's going to be grouped with what's going to be. This is the one that feels like it's throwing a lot of assumptions out, which I'm fine with. I like it when they can throw us a curveball, but this is definitely the one of a curveball of we've got Sid and Mikoto here in what looks like a Garlean fortification, which suggests that we're on the source, but we've got the Scions there.
But we had the white aura sight as well, remember?
They're kind of blipping, teleporting in, so maybe they're like being summoned in somehow, or it's a projection. And there's Reen there as well. Like this is the one that upsets a lot of our assumptions and questions about things. And it's the one that's making me, yeah, you can tell from how animated I got. This is the one that's been occupying a lot of my thoughts.
You have to remember though, Reen has Minfilia's, or a lot of Minfilia's soul.
Not quite. It's weird.
Kind of.
But the fact that she's able to, okay, assuming we're on the source, how did she get there? How did the Scions get there? Are they astral projecting? What is happening?
What, they're Jedi now?
Right?
Maybe.
Like, we're not sure. And that's kind of what we want. Is we want to get given this information and be excited about it, but we also want to have questions so that when this drops in 2 weeks, we have stuff to do, that we're looking for those answers.
But we're not done yet, guys.
This is the type of thing I want to see. Like I definitely have questions now. So many questions.
Okay. But then
There's more cool stuff.
Yeah. Then we see Gaia kind of disappearing in some blackness. And then Xenos walking through basically the Amarode dungeon, the last days of Amarode.
Yeah, that's another one that raises a lot of questions. So far as we know, that creation of Emmett Selks exists on the first. Xenos is fairly clearly not on the first, and he does not have a adorable cat boy summoning him there. So how is he there? Is he actually there? Is he walking in an echo of? Is he echoing into our memory of it, or into some other thing? And I want to touch a little more on that because that sequence actually starts with a thing that 1.0 players might be very familiar with. That cloudy sky with that bright orb in the center of it with streaks of light coming from it.
Actually, not quite yet. That doesn't. That
Oh,
comes
is
up.
that-
That's a little bit ahead yet.
Is that?
You're very
it's
close.
not-
We're
You're
close.
very close.
We're close.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yes. Keep going.
Yeah. So
1.0. That was a while ago.
Grahatia is grabbing his arm in pain after that, and
Okay,
then we
so-
see Dalamud. Dalamud above a Garlean tower. What the hell?
So the thing that, backtracking a little bit, when Granatia grabs his arm, if you've ever had too much sodium or eaten too much poutine too fast and your heart starts to kind of not feel great, your left arm tends, as dudes, left arm tends to get a little funky if you're starting to have cardiac problems. So I was like, when he grabs his arm, my first thought was, oh, I've done that on the other side with stress cardiomyopathy. And so I'm thinking, what's causing him that pain in his arm?
That's his crystal arm.
I know it's his crystal arm. So what's causing that pain? Is it stress? Is it ethereal imbalance? Is it the presence of Dalamud? Like, what is it that's causing that pain?
Are the timeline shenanigans finally catching up?
Well, because wasn't it said in the previous storyline that his life there is tied to the Scions being there, and that if he were to die, potentially they would go back. Maybe if they go back, he will still be impacted by that.
Nah, not quite. Like, I see what you're going for, but you're kind of mixing up your cause and effect.
Well, I'm just wondering if how deeply. I mean, he is deeply ingrained into the Crystal Tower right now.
Right.
But half Crystal Tower.
Yeah.
It was more that the Scions are there because of the magic that he was working with.
Mm-hmm.
And so his death would cause a lot of that stuff to unwind and maybe send them back. I mean, this is all theoretical. It's not like anyone's gone and murdered a Catboy in order to test it.
Well, hold still, Seyrr.
Way to test it. I mean, yes, I'm all about empirical testing, but no.
Hold still, Seyrr. Let me get up my daggers.
Let me test something. Stab. Hey, it worked. Good news.
All right. Moving forward again. Dalamud. Why is Dalamud up there?
I was not comfortable with Dalamud showing up just because of the fact that the last time it showed up, I was online when 1.0 went down.
Woo! Memories.
And I was like, I'm not cool with what's happening right now.
Now, the tower that we see it there looks a bit like some of that Bozja stuff, and Dalamud actually is very tied into the history of Bozja Citadel. So I'm expecting that it has something to do with that. Bozja Citadel was originally the place where the first lunar transmitter was being developed, created by Garland, Sid's father. It was also the place that was obliterated in an instant by a beam of light from Dalamud, an experiment gone way too right.
Thanks, Midas.
Yeah.
This is one time when you won't trust Midas's touch.
I don't trust anything that's happening.
But so having it tied to Bozja somehow is the one that makes the most sense. I was also really psyched to see that because the titles of these expansions, it always ends up being something that has multiple possible interpretations. We'd already talked about the echoes of a fallen star. It's okay, we've got this past Aniter area. We've got this other version. It's okay, it's kind of the remains of the fallen star, the planet that's kind of fallen. Here's these echoes of its past.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have this other fallen star, Dalamud.
Mm-hmm.
The last time it fell, I had to play a different video game for a year.
I mean, yeah.
I'm a little concerned.
They're probably not doing that again. I feel like that's the kind of trick you get away with once.
You think you're gonna get a black hole for about 2 weeks on our loading screen?
I mean, not for nothing, but like, towards the end of that 4.0 cycle, I was like, maybe I'm gonna finally play Persona 5 for 2 months because there's nothing to do. So like, I don't mind taking a break. I do mind taking a break when I find out about that break by the world being hit by Bahamut.
All right, we're almost done with this. Let's kind of push through.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
We then cut.
Now's the bit that I was thinking of.
We then cut back to that mural from the Ronkin Temple that shows the star showers, and then we see the real thing: bright light surrounded by clouds, with star showers coming down from the sky. Seyrr.
Yeah. So that thing, 1.0 players, I remember, pretty much at the start of every scenario, whichever city you start with, there would be a thing where your character witnessed this star shower in some kind of strange ethereal location. It was never fully explained. It was referenced later in it when you go and meet Minfilia and her Path of the 12, people who are all possessed the Echo and are trying to find out about it, what the deal is with it. One of the commonalities was that they had all seen this star shower. Now, the original the original plans for it have almost certainly been lost to history. We have no idea what the 1.0 team had originally planned to do with the star shower, with the Echo, with all the meaning for that. But this does mean we've got this interesting chunk of plot lying around that, hey, maybe it's time to pick it up, dust it off, and see if we can slot into what we've got going here. Because we've got the cutting from that back to those last days of Amuro where you have those stars falling down again.
Yep, because we cut then to another nice little stroll with Xenos in the last days. I mean, he's just like no fucks given, walking through like, this looks like fun. Maybe I should build a house here.
And like, we've already had this reference to the idea of like events so massive that they kind of like etch themselves onto the soul for eons. So I'm wondering if they're trying to like reinvent the star shower as this echo of the last days of Amarut.
Or maybe they're talking about like when we see Dalamud crashing down in front of the Warrior of Light.
Yeah. Yeah, I hadn't noticed that little like the picture of the crystal, the various things in it that they've used as like, I totally glossed over it before, but you do have Dalamud in that top of that crystal.
Yep, we've got Ardbert on the left, Elidibus in the center, Warrior of Light on the right, and at the very top, at the point, is Dalamud. So that is the 5.2 cinematic trailer, guys. It took them 3 minutes and a handful of seconds. That was about 45 minutes.
Yeah,
there's a lot going on there.
We're excited, damn it.
Like, there was like periods of 2 seconds where they switched between 3 different scenes, and I'm pretty sure part of separate content, but they were making it look like it was part of the same thing because they're fucking with us.
Yes.
And oh my god, they're doing such a great job of it. Like, I say it that way, but do not think that I'm upset about this. This is some masterful trolling, and I am here for it.
Sarah's excited.
He's never going to give it up. All right, so patch 5.2, Echoes of a Fallen Star, releases on February 18th of 2020.
9 days.
Yep. And then...
Well, 10 days for some people. Time travel.
Sorry, I triggered my my dot.
Rip.
So I had to mute for just a quick second. 5.21, they said, will be releasing about 3 weeks after patch 5.2. And
that
then
sounds about right.
5.25, based off of, past history, somewhere between 4 and 6, maybe 7 weeks.
Yeah, generally, it's been about 6 weeks between the release and the 0.5, but it's been as short as 4 in some, and occasionally it's been delayed a bit more, so it's kind of hard to guess.
Yeah, and being 5.21 is a week longer than, because most every time the raid comes out 2 weeks after the patch. In this case, it's 3 weeks, so.
Like, we're kind of just guessing here.
Exactly. We like to guess. So, of course, new main scenario quests are going to be added. Along with that, we get the Qatari Beast Tribe, which are basically the Kikern. And this is going to be a gathering-focused Beast Tribe. This is going to be the first one where it's strictly gathering.
Yeah, they had crafting ones for quite a while.
And crafting and gathering.
So the Ixal were crafting focused, but you might need a gathering class at level 5 in order to gather some items for some part of it. But it was like a very token one.
Then the Mughals were fully crafting.
Yeah, and then the Namazu, you could do crafting or gathering at your option.
Now this is the first one that is
helpful.
just gathering. So this is based in Raktika, and one of the things that you can get for getting up to max level and gathering enough of the Beastman currency is Great Serpent of Ronka mount. Scream!
Technically, it's Great Serpent of Ronka in a pot.
But still, scream!
Yeah.
So, okay, are we saying that we're going to have to all get that mount so that we can do a show with all three of us sitting on the mount somewhere?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Just making sure, because I'm going to do it anyway. I just want to make sure you two are both in.
You've got your Lahi, you've got your Scree.
And you got your
you've
La
got-
Scree!
Now,
Perfect.
like, the picture they showed, I'm pretty sure it's going to look absolutely ridiculous if you're writing it as anyone other than a Lalafell. I already look really weird perched upon my Porksy mount, but I'm still okay with this.
You're not wrong.
Captain Potato over here is going to have a great time.
Yeah. Well, then there's the Highlander.
Yeah. So you have Highlander, Catboy, and
Cat
Potato.
Girl.
Are you Cat Girl?
Cat Girl,
never-
yes.
I've literally never paid attention, clearly. I'm just like, whatever,
Wow.
it's Seyrr, it's fine. I see your name and I know who you are.
All I can say is
Why did we give him that board?
Hi, I'm Taliz. I'm bad at aesthetics.
It happens. I mean, to be fair, I tend to in somewhat more gender neutral stuff anyway, so
fair enough. All right. The instance dungeon, which we kind of talked about a little bit in the trailer, the Anamnesis Annider is going to be added. And as they specified in a previous live letter, there will only be one dungeon per patch now. And Sarah, we talked about it.
In exchange for that, the dungeons that they add are going to be trust enabled. So.
Yep. And we also get other types of content added as well. And then I think we talked about it when they first announced the name of the dungeon. But Anamnesis has a really interesting meaning. And Sarah, you want to remind us what that is again?
Yes. So it comes from Platonic philosophy, Plato having this whole idea of like ideal forms and like this kind of existence. Anyways, but anamnesis is the remembering of things from a supposed previous existence. So it's kind of like if you have like say, oh, there is this past life, it's kind of like bringing back these memories from it, which given that so they have hinted, suggested, not outright said, so I'm hesitant to say this is exactly a thing until we get a definite thing on it, but they've hinted that our character is a fragment of that member of the Convocation of 14 who noped the fuck out of there.
No, we are responsible for Heidelin.
It's still not fully confirmed. It has been very strongly hinted, but I would imagine that this would be the patch where it's confirmed if it is actually.
Heidelin's my bitch, okay?
I mean, I feel like with the whole tampering thing, it's more that you're Heidelin.
Hey, if it weren't for me, Hyland wouldn't be here.
Well, sure, but then you went and got tempered, so suck it.
You're giving me a temper.
Damn right. Anyways.
Moving on.
So, and the title and the theme, like Echoes of a Fallen Star, exploring this past, it's seeming like that might be invoking kind of the, hey, we've got this echoes of this former life, this former existence that we might be exploring. Again, assuming that is the case, which seems very likely from what has been hinted, but people have been wrong about this before, so I am reluctant to say it will definitely be this until I have a direct citation I can point to.
Because Seyrr doesn't like to be wrong.
Do you know how often the lore mongers, like how often we have to say, like, no, this entire thing you spun out of whole cloth doesn't actually have any support in the thing. You just made this up because it sounded nice and you said, well, obviously this can only be such and such. Well, there are 3 other explanations. We have to do this a lot.
You're too politically correct, Seyrr.
That's not even what politically correct means! I am going to fucking throttle you at FanFest.
I love you too.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Fun things about librarians having to reference stuff. This is where you push the crickets button, by the way.
No, I prefer going.
That's also bad, but okay.
Are you okay,
Like,
Seyrr?
part of our job involves information literacy. This involves helping people figure out how not to fall prey to conspiracy theories and stuff like that. Do you know how much work coronavirus has made for me?
You triggered my trap card!
I mean, technically not a lot because I work in the children's department, but there's occasional questions.
All right, let's move on.
Let's move on before Seyrr blows a vein out of his forehead.
Going to my happy place.
A new Chronicles of a New Era quest line, the Sara of Wyrlet, will be added. And as a part of that, we will be getting the Cinder Drift, which is going to feature everybody's favorite chonky boy, Ruby Weapon.
Leg day.
I have to say, when I saw him plunge the things down into there, like the tentacles down into there and they hit, it's like, oh wow, this brings back memories.
Mostly
It was another one of those,
PTSD, but
yes, it's not the exact thing, but it looks like my memories of it.
well, you got to remember, there's more than 3 of us on the battlefield too, so.
Not for long.
True.
Yeah, Nick Nar's referencing the Ruby Gundam because
Ruby
the
Gundam.
launch is just straight up a Gundam sortie. It's great.
And then this new quest line will actually feature Gaius' past and will continue in the future. So, be interesting to see more about what Daddy Gaius was like back when he was maybe in charge of all these weapons.
I mean, he still did a bunch of really horrible things. Let's not forget that.
Cool motive, still murder.
Yeah.
We're gonna get new raid tier, Eden's Verse. That's going to be coming in the 5.21, so that'll be 3 weeks after launch. Gaia, the character shown with the hammer at FanFest, is going to make her official debut at this point. And then, like we saw, the Rama fight, Ramuxian, the Ifrit and Garuda, and then we also saw that flock of Singulls fight. Like I said, we have not seen anything about the 4th fight. They always like to keep that one a secret until people get to it. So
I'm super cool with that. Did
Absolutely.
I also, if I remember reading, Yoshi-P also said that there's new directors working on that fight that didn't work on the first part of Eden. So we're going to see kind of unique mechanics and it's going to work a little bit differently. As opposed to like, how many times did we fight Faust and how often did it actually change? Versus now where it's going to be every single one of these 12, assumably, fights is going to be super different because they're going to have a different person running it every single time. I'm very much cool with that, with the way that Eden is supposed to work anyway. I love that each fight is unique and different.
It should
but
be.
Is very thematically bound to like, we're still fighting Eden, and it still feels like I'm fighting Eden when I'm fighting Leviathan, when I'm fighting Titan, whatever.
Well, I mean, we're not
But
exactly fighting Eden.
We're fighting ourselves, really, or our memories.
We're fighting our own mental battle, but it's like
We're
own
fighting,
terrible memory.
Yeah, we're fighting an accumulation of ether that has been given form so that we're allowed to beat it up.
with our terrible memories.
but we're getting to see it differently every single time. As opposed to, oh, right, it's the blank fights set where you always have to look out for whatever. It's like, okay, you have to fight these weird ethereal orb thing machines that you have to do to get to Bahamut. Okay, well, you always have to fight Faust. Okay, well, you always have to... No, there's no always. Every single time is going to be, what do you remember? Okay, we're going to twist it. Surprise, Rama has a horse body and is buff and is going to dismantle you. Good luck. It's going to be awesome. I'm very excited for this tier.
Yeah.
All right, and then we get
Yeah, I'm a fan of remixing stuff, so
a
make
number.
it happen.
They talk about a bunch of job adjustments and PvP job adjustments. There's a little bit more information on that further down. crafting and fishing are going to have some changes. Materia system updates will be implemented.
They are keeping that one close to the vest, of course.
Yep. And new crafting. Some actions for crafting will be removed. And fish bites will be changed to notifications.
So I guess I'll have that show up in the chat log now?
That'll be nice.
I'm not sure how that's going to work.
You feel a nibble.
Really nice.
You feel a big nibble. You feel a little nibble. You feel a massive hit.
Yeah, that'd be nice as opposed to just having one headphone in and listening for the creak of the fishing rod and then hitting it. Like, that's fine, but
Or
man, I
having
could
to
only do
watch
that
very
so many times.
closely as to how much the rod bends.
I
Yeah,
definitely have to
forget that.
change up my attention when I do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say for crafting, like, there's a lot of skills that I just never used in crafting, which I've said before. It was kind of cool to have 3 or 4 people all crafting at high level. We all use completely different trees of how we got there,
Mm-hmm.
but there was too much and it was kind of unnecessary. But now I'm like, all right, we're all basically doing the same thing now that it's sort of homogenized. What the hell are they getting rid of? Like, there isn't a lot of skills that I don't use at this point.
Okay. Going back to the fishing thing, Aurora saying exclamation points is what we'll see.
I'd be down for that.
Like, Eureka!
Wait, you said
like-
we wouldn't have to go back to Eureka.
Eureka can
You
burn.
can't fire...
I can fire a rim shot.
Anyway.
That's...
Okay.
And
Ocean
yeah, I'm
fishing.
interested to see. Yeah, yes. Thank God. Something other than the 2 kinds of fishing that we've had forever.
So apparently ocean fishing is something that you can, that'll be running every 2 hours. And it's going to be approximately a 30-minute instance.
Is it a solo instance or can we go
No,
as a
it
group?
is a group thing. There will be 2 different locations where you can board the ocean vessel. And there will be, as you're fishing along, there will be 3 different zones you'll fish from, each one lasting roughly 7 minutes. And depending on how well everyone does will depend on how much of a bonus reward that you get.
It's treasure hunting.
Kind of.
Ish.
It's treasure hunting with fishing.
Like, it mostly just brings back memories of... It was in FF11... They had made a change in one patch such that it used to be whatever you fished up, only you could see. And then they changed it so it became a message that anyone could see, though you could, of course, filter it out.
Oh, yeah. Nick now reminded me they're also talking about bringing in pirate attacks where you have a fish off.
Okay. That's,
I'm going to
that's
catch
good, 'cause I
more
remember
fish
there'd
than
be the
you.
pirate
Arr.
There'd be the pirate attacks and then be like, okay, just make sure you start casting sneak on yourself and get back to fishing.
Oh, God.
Yeah, in 11, but in 14, it's going to be you're the pirate captain's going to challenge you to a fish off.
I'm okay with that. Could we have a dance off? I'm also down for dance offs. What?
How many dance emotes do you actually have?
All of them.
Not all of them, but a
Pretty reasonable amount.
yeah, I like to think so.
The new tombstone is going to be added. The
So we're
tombstone's
rotating
allegory.
tombstones up.
Yep. So, yep.
Allegory,
Poetic stays.
Montessori.
Poetic
Yay,
stays
someone
as
got the
always.
reference.
And then Goetia will be going away, and Phantasmagoria is going to be the uncapped tome.
All right.
They're updating the number of New Game Plus chapters that will be available. Alliance raid quests will be added.
It's a new game plus.
Mm-hmm. So you can run
Hey,
those
guys,
quests
you
again.
Hey guys, you should probably do Crystal Tower again before you start in on Shadowbringers if you haven't done it yet or forgotten.
Yeah, you can refresh your memory of all the bits.
Then this one actually is something we've been waiting for a long time, and I didn't expect it to be this much. But free companies will have a rank increase to 30.
30.
Yeah, it seemed like they just want to be like, okay, we're gonna add all the stuff so we don't have to worry about
Yep.
this for
That's
a while.
exactly what he said too. Is we're just doing this so that we never have to do this again.
And it's basically just going to be increases in the amount of company chest storage.
Ooh.
Good.
So we get
I
20,
have so many random airship and submersible bits.
So do we get 22 more pages of free company chest space?
I
I
mean,
have
maybe they'll
4
let us buy level 3 buffs.
Maybe. Who knows?
That'd be cool.
New course in the Leap of Faith at the Gold Saucer. They're actually trying to make fellowships relevant by making them viewable in the companion app. And also trying to make the
They can
companion
try
app
as hard as they want.
relevant. Other than giving me another free teleport. But speaking of which, if you don't have the companion app for that free teleport, you should just download it just for the free teleport.
That's literally the only thing I use it for.
Teleports.
Yeah. Umbrellas. We get umbrellas.
So we can
I didn't
cosplay
realize this was a thing in demand, but this was a thing in demand.
now we can cosplay as Bert from Mary Poppins, I guess. I don't know.
Or what's his name from Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yondu?
Yes, we can do our best Yondu. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. What? Nothing?
I want that arrow.
Yeah. So yeah, getting into some of the job changes that were talked about. Red Mage, buffed because right now it's the lowest caster DPS, so it's going to be brought up a little bit. Summoner, who's the most powerful or one of the most powerful caster DPSs, is going to be nerfed.
I'm so happy I just leveled it up.
Well,
Damn it.
they're bringing the two in line because both of those jobs have raises. I mean, that is
Okay, I'm fair with
huge
that.
party
Utility.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, didn't Chili say the other day on stream, it was like, there's a reason why Black Mage should do the most because it's the least flexible.
Exactly. Black Mage and Samurai bring the least raid utility, so they are relying on sheer numbers. Other jobs like Bard, Dancer, Machinist, they have a lot of raid utility. They bring a lot of support, and they don't have nearly as good a DPS because of that. But they help out everybody else.
And same with Summoner and Red Mage, where it's like, yes, we have raises, we have a cure. Like, we have a couple of cool options that we have. Yeah, I'm okay with doing a little bit less on the DPS front to balance that out.
Exactly. So, Samurai Meditation stacks we moved to the job UI.
Thank God, because I never know what the hell it is. It's just in the buffs with everything else. And when I'm in an 8-person party, I've got 12 icons to look through. I'm like, I think I have 3. This is lit up. Cool. Like, I have no idea. So having it in the UI is going to be really helpful for
I'm
damage
happy for
output.
you. I haven't touched Summoner. I just unlocked Samurai. I just unlocked it.
Oh, it's fun.
Anyway,
Yeah, it's enjoyable.
in PvP, Warrior and Monk will see some adjustments. Dancer will be nerfed. Dancer is OP in PvP. I mean, that's why I've been running it every time I jump into the roulette, because Dancer is just amazing. It is so much fun to play in PvP.
Well, ranged in PvP has always been super powerful. Even in 2.0, like Bard, right? But
Bard is actually not as powerful in PvP. Dancer, though, is amazing. So is Machinist, from what I see. I haven't actually played it, but Machinist kick my ass a lot.
When I was doing PvP, I did Machinist a fair bit.
And it's pretty easy, too. I used to do Warrior a lot, but now basically I just jump in and then I switch straight to Dancer. And it's like, yeah, come at me, bro. It's great because I can stand away from the points and I can, shoot my chakram at people coming up and protect the Ovus from, being taken over by somebody else. So it's nice.
Hit and run, bitches.
Yeah.
Hit and run.
It's great. Continuing on. Let's see. In patch 5.21, we are going to get the Ishgardian Restoration, which will include the reopening of the Diadem as a gathering zone. It's also going to bring us the Kupo of Fortune, new expert recipes, and a ranking system that will take place every 10 days with the release of patch 5.21. Top-ranked players will receive special titles, and these new expert recipes are going to be very, very tough, according to Yoshida.
And you can buy test kits to try stuff before you burn all of your mats.
For about 300 gil?
Yeah, I
300 or
really,
3,000, I don't remember. It's not
I
enough
really-
for it to matter.
I really appreciate that, because I know for a lot of them it's in like, okay, you have to use a simulator, and given how they've talked about a lot of stuff with like whether you need a third-party tool versus having a solution available in game, it's nice that they are trying to provide in-game solutions for some of these.
Well,
Also, it's just kind of fun to test it out. Like, you really start to get a feel for it better that way, I found.
and then finally, they talked about in patch 5.25, there will be the new secret trial that will be added, as well as the new quest line for the Save the Queen Blades of Gunhildr. Will be featuring relic-style weapons, a bunch of upgradable equipment. Basically, we're going to try and help free the Hrothgar from Noah van Gabranth of the 4th Imperial Legion. They talked about a possible public dungeon will be in the works for this series along the lines of the Baldesian Arsenal. And to
I'm guessing they'll be using some of the stuff they learned from Yuri.
Yep. And in order to do this, you must have completed the Return to Ivalice storyline. And this is going to continue through a number of the upcoming patches as well, in a fashion very similar to most relic weapons or like the past Eureka storyline. And that was the majority of the new content that we're going to be getting in patch 5.2. But it wasn't the only thing that was talked about during the live letter. Towards the beginning, Yoshida had to get his dad stance on.
Yeah.
He put his dad pants on, and I think he had his dad glasses. He was kind of giving us that dad eye, and he's like, guys,
You are very focused on Yoshi as a daddy. Just saying.
Stop. My penis can only get so erect.
God, no. So glad that's on the board, but good God.
okay. Anyway,
Worth it.
yes. I swear to God, Yoshida has been listening to our past episodes.
That is definitely what happened.
Exactly. I mean, well, we were talking about mods. You know, you and Taliz and I were talking about mods in some of the early games a month ago. And then 2 weeks ago, Chili and Yelta and I were talking about mods in the 14 and 11 games as well. So he had to have been listening because he said, mods are bad, okay?
It was a little
It was
than that.
more than that. A lot was actually said. He went on a rather long rant regarding the use of mods and third-party tools. Basically, he says some players might not care, but what everybody else is like, you know. Let me go to there's a couple spots that we got all this information from, so you have to forgive me here.
This was one that there was enough interest in that a lot of people were trying to do translations, try to convey a bit more of the nuance, in part because this is a rather complex thing with a lot of nuance going on.
Yep. So basically, it's kind of started out recently around the end of the year. People were putting out screenshots where it included mods sort of that were not appropriate. People were basically posting screenshots with the nude mods out on social media. And Yoshida was not happy with that.
No, he was. I mean, obviously, third-party tools are frowned upon, but also, like, this is like, hey guys, you're kind of taking what this game is, what the vision that he had for the game, and turning it into something very strange.
It's not just that. Like, that type of mod, regardless of how one feels about it, there's a reality that that's the fastest way to start a moral panic about it.
Yeah.
And to have a lot of forces coming in from outside saying, hey, maybe we should be regulating what you're doing here.
And he's saying, people were saying that he hasn't taken a stance on this, so he's saying it isn't allowed.
Here's the stance.
Yep.
Stop it.
Depending on the content you publish, it goes beyond just getting a penalty from Square Enix. In some countries, some of the screenshots they see are against the law. So they're like very serious. You know, anytime that where your mod changes the data, don't do it. But it's not only mods that they were talking about. We're also talking about third-party tools. And he basically flat out said, you know, ACT. While many people use it as a parser to see how they're doing, and while that necessarily isn't bad in and of itself, the fact that it can be used for harassment is bad, and he's not happy about that. And because of how it can be used in that fashion, there will never be an official parser in Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah, there was actually a lot going on about this one.
Yeah. It went
don't
on
want to
for a
go in.
while.
He doesn't want anything to turn toxic, because there are communities, or there are games where the community, they have an official parser and the community is very toxic if you are not parsing at a certain level.
Yeah, he got into some other aspects of it, including we've talked a bit before about how often he'll go start describing a lot of the actual reasoning or the considerations that he has to have, like giving a lot of insight into what's going on there. This was one where he did do that again, so there was a lot of really insight. I'm not sure necessarily how in depth we want to go into it here, but there's actually a lot of really good commentary to explore.
Yep. And the thing with ACT, like I said, it's not just a parser. There are also other add-ins that you can plug into it that will give it more functionality. And one of the functionalities that was used was the ability to automatically change waymarks in the game for different phases. And
that
there was somebody in one of the progression world first battles that utilized that and gave them an unfair advantage in doing as well as they did. I'm not calling out any names at this, but because of this, they've locked down how waymarks can be utilized. They can no longer be changed mid-battle.
That said, they did. We're also adding support for like an automatic waymark placement, weren't they?
Well, what they did was they added presets, where there's a number of presets available for you, so you can set the waymarks a specific way, and with a press of a button or macro or something like that, it will automatically change it. It'll set it to that for you at the beginning of a battle.
Yeah, this was something that actually did come up in his discussion, like the whole tension between the, like, hey, this sometimes leads to development of new tools, but at the same time, like, if you're asking us, this is what our answer always has to be for this reason.
Yeah. And like I said, because he had not made any stance on it in the past, and people assumed that his silence was approval, he had to do this, especially since he is a high-level director at Square Enix.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's not just the producer-director of Final Fantasy XIV. He is in charge of, what is it, Division 3 now? Business Division 3? Because it was 5, but they changed it. They reorganized and restructured a while back. So, I mean, he is a big shot at SE, so he has to put his foot down. And if you guys don't listen, you know, if you post any screenshots that reference any banned mods, third-party tools, show any of that in there, talk about, you know, have proof of it in streams, anything like that, and it links back to, or can be linked back to your SE account, Square Enix can and very well will ban you.
Keep in mind that this is not a thing of, I have a right to. This is a service that is being, they are providing, and so they do have a lot of ability to say, hey, we've decided we no longer want to provide this, and you cannot force them to give it to you. Like, it's not, people often worry, like, can they legally do that? It's like, technically, yes, this is a private company that's providing this thing. They don't have to keep providing the game to you.
What they legally can't do is scan your computer. And
right.
he
That's
references
something he
that.
directly said. He's like, I can't scan your computer, But if you show me proof that you're doing it on social media or whatever, that's all we need.
Yeah, it's like
actually.
if you're driving along in a supercar at 95, 100 miles an hour down a freeway, and it's time stamped and all of that, you could see a ticket show up in your mail.
Yeah, there's actually a bridge here in Western Washington that has it's tolled on either side. And when they were first testing the cameras, they had them in both directions on each side. Later, they changed it so it's just as you are leaving the bridge. But people were actually comparing, and this was back in my very questionably legal days of driving too fast. We would actually go on one end and then get to the other side of the bridge and then hit the other end, and we would get our tickets, and it would show like you were going at X speed, we believe, because there's no way to get from that point to that point unless you were going that fast.
Yep, that
and
would
it
hold
was-
up in court.
And it definitely did, and it definitely cost me $126. But yeah, if you can prove it, even without being there like at the given time, just like, hey, that VOD on Twitch shows that you definitely moved. You moved all of these waypoints at this time.
Mm-hmm. And it wasn't
But I also
one at
know
a
that-
time.
No, unless all 8 of you are really skilled at doing it, which isn't going to happen.
Well,
And again, it's not. They're not a court. They do not necessarily have to meet that standard of proof.
No, they can just say, hey, I don't like your face. You're done. You're banned. It's like, well, what? It's like, no, that's not happening anymore.
they won't. But like I said,
No.
if they can somewhat legitimately prove that you are doing something that is against their terms of service, yeah, it can be done.
If they can do it without violating computer fraud type things, like as I say, can't scan your computer, but if you could show it without needing to do that,
I mean, it has happened. I mean, I believe we talked about it when Arthar's Final Fantasy XIV streamer, he was calling somebody out for a bad parse on a stream. He got a 10-day ban for that.
yeah,
Yep.
the fact that it was that he was doing something that is seen as contributing to a toxic environment probably did not help.
Yeah, it was being toxic, and I believe he showed his parser. So
Yeah, not a good plan. Just if you want to know that you're doing a good amount of damage, we have Stone Sea Sky.
yeah,
Like,
The only-
it's not ideal, but it's definitely better
my
than...
only
Also,
concern.
also theoretically, you could run one of these and not stream that you're doing it and not talk about it with others.
Exactly. I mean, and if you do talk about it, I mean, there's no way to prove it. I mean, I don't think they would really do much to you, but
They're not going to scan your computer for it. So if you are not actually like putting out any proof that you're doing it, not that this is something we can condone or recommend.
exactly. You do it. This is something you would do at your own risk. Phoenix Down Radio does not condone the use of mods or third-party tools within the online community of
We
Final
think they're
Fantasy XI and
fascinating.
Final Fantasy XIV. So
We think they're
Just-
fascinating to talk about, but I think a lot of things are fascinating.
yeah,
Never do.
driving fast is
True.
fascinating to talk about. We do not condone doing it.
Yeah, don't do it, by the way.
I find criminal law fascinating. I'm not doing that stuff.
Speaking
Anyway,
of driving fast, if anybody in Western Washington is selling a car, anyway, I don't have one anymore.
So, yeah,
Boko-san.
there was that whole thing, and like I said, we had there was just went on for quite a while.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
suggest finding a text of the translation if you can, because he touched on a lot of other interesting aspects about the interplay of all these
I
things.
will
And
link. Go ahead.
oh yeah.
I was gonna say.
He tends to be very thoughtful about this, tends to have a lot of things, and as I said, he gets into a lot of the reasoning of what's going on. So for anyone who's interested in game design and a lot of the decisions going along with this, it's really fascinating.
Exactly. So I did link the Reddit thread that I saw that some of this come from, and then there also are a number of other Discords. I believe the subreddit Discord, the Balance Discord, and Mogmog all did translations of the live letter. So if you are members of any of those Discords, you can probably read through their translated version of this there. So, and who knows?
And remember, if you're gonna break the law, just break one law at a time.
Phoenix Down Radio does not
That's
condone
not-
breaking the law.
Oh my god. Anyway,
So yeah, that was that lovely little discussion.
Woo!
The last little bit that I want to talk about has to do with fan translations. Now, before as we were planning out the episode, I actually reached out to somebody who does fan translation to ask them if they would be interested in coming onto the show and discussing what they do and if what that all entails, how much they enjoy it. They did politely decline, as they prefer to stay in the background. But I did get a very interesting story from them in regards to issues that can come up regarding fan translations. So this is right from them. So I'm not going to mention any names, but thank you so much for sharing this story with me. And I want to share it with all of you guys so you can kind of get an idea as to what kind of goes into this and what issues may arise. So I'm reading their words now. I stepped down from translating for a short period right after Famitsu sued a different translator who uploaded their translation of a Final Fantasy XV article, and that guy had to pay a 1 million yen fine for their offense.
That would be around $10,000, give or take, which is still a lot. Don't get me wrong.
10 grand, enough to be annoying. Well, a lot.
I mean, that's a lot of money for a lot of people.
Yeah, that'd bankrupt me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I am a government worker, so.
Continuing on. Famitsu insisted that the translator stole their article, even though the translator said the translations were not for any profit and only helping the community. Famitsu was still adamant about their charges and said those views were supposed to be gained by Famitsu, even though those outside of Japan would never visit their site because they wouldn't understand anything was written there. Anyway, I was scared of translating after hearing about that incident and stayed away from translating for a while, but recently started translating again undercover because I heard some misunderstandings and complaints from the English-speaking 14 community about how the Final Fantasy XIV developers don't reveal or discuss enough of their thought process. And one of the guests of Mog Talk said that, but the devs actually do talk a lot about the game and recent hot topics that are brought up by the community, but the problem is they only explain it to the Japanese audience. There's so many interviews that haven't been translated because of several reasons. One interview takes 3 to 5 hours to translate, and the majority of players don't show much interest on certain topics, which makes it hard to cover everything. There's also quite a lot of information that Yoshida explains and comments on during live letters that doesn't get officially translated because it wasn't on the original script. That type of info can pile up and cause frustration in the English-speaking community, where some matters are only explained in detail to the Japanese audience, and I wanted to help also by live translating what I can. Yoshida also reveals information and answers players' concerns during events in Japan that aren't broadcasted live to the English community, but there's a limit to what amateur translators can get around to. So that was quite a little bit of interesting information that was told to me, so thank you for sharing that.
I'm not trying to necessarily agree with all the characterizations of it. Like, I can see the concern about feeling like, hey, this was something that's not hurting them. I know that in intellectual property law, if Famitsu is the owners of this copyright, like maybe they're saying, hey, you've taken away our ability to choose to do a translation of this later. And that's something that a court absolutely would recognize as damages. So
the difference,
I'm not trying.
I guess where I have an issue with that is most of this information is only relevant for a very short window.
Yeah, but that necessity defenses are usually going to be more someone was going to die if it didn't happen, not, oh, the information would have been irrelevant and then not as many people would have known about it. Like, I understand where they're coming from on that. Just intellectual property law is not always kind about this type of thing.
It is designed to protect the people who create the work and
yes.
Keep people from stealing it. And I understand the importance of that. However,
and I'll also throw in that I think that a lot of copyright law at the moment does overreach and is ripe for review and some reworking, but this is the system as it is right now.
Correct. There's not much that we can do about that, but I still
yell at your congressman, I guess.
Well, that's not going to help with a translating issue, but
I mean, for copyright in general.
But like I said, it's kind of interesting. I didn't realize that people would actually go after people who are trying to just share information in a different language so fiercely. It just, I mean,
Famitsu may see it as, hey, this is our exclusive scoop. This was something that we would have had the right to sell the story to other publications, to do this type of thing. Someone is infringing on this. They're attacking our intellectual property.
I mean,
like, that's how they're going to see it.
Is it possible they didn't give enough attribution to the original source?
Attribution isn't like, that's the thing. Like, if you take someone else's work and say, hey, like, I got it from, that doesn't change the fact that you took it without permission. It's always interesting, all of those YouTube videos where they say, it's like, hey, just so you know, I don't own such and such. It's like, great, so you're admitting that you're using this without the permission of the copyright holder. There's a lot that is not well understood about copyright.
Yeah, and it all depends on how much the person who first yields the information is trying to protect whatever, monetization or
also keep in mind, Famitsu they're a legit journalism type thing. They're not necessarily going to be like it's for the fans. They're not necessarily going to be able to be that free floating about it, because they're like a major journalism type thing. They can't just necessarily be as lackadaisical about it as some other things might be.
I don't know. I guess I think that news is a little bit of a different thing, but
sure. But you can have news, but then there's still what was the original work product.
Fair enough.
And if you're taking someone else's reporting and doing the translating of it, there's a legit question about how much of that was your work product versus theirs.
Could one almost consider it transformative since it's being translated into a different language?
That's not. I don't know that that's necessarily considered.
And into your representation of what they're trying to say.
Potentially, but being transformative is only one element of fair use. Like, I see where you're going with this. You're going for a fair use argument. But
yeah, I mean, because I'm not going to lie, everything we have here today is based off of fair use.
Yeah.
We're reporting on something from somebody else. I mean, we try to attribute them as much as possible, make sure that we give, full credit to Gamerscape and to Nova Chrysalis for their hard work. On going through and on reporting on something that was, published and put out by Square Enix.
Right. The big thing about fair use is pretty much there's stuff you can say that's going to give you an idea of it, but you generally don't know until it goes in front of a judge. Yeah. So saying, this will definitely be fair use, or this definitely won't, is practically impossible to say. And anyone who says they do know it does not have any actual experience with copyright.
So I guess the long story short here is, please don't sue us.
Well, yes, please don't sue us. I feel like that's a given.
That and ask for permission. In this case, asking for permission is much better than asking for forgiveness.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Now, of course, some people are like, they'll say no, and good reason to say no. Famitsu might have said, hey, we don't... Another thing they might be concerned about, what if someone makes a poor is attributed to this, and they say, Famitsu must have done terrible reporting. Well, there's a lot of concerns they might have on it, so just because it's something that's going to be for the fans doesn't mean that they don't have an interest in it. It's a complicated and thorny question.
It would be an interesting comparison. Taking the original article and then looking at the translation, the human translation versus a machine translation, and comparing the two.
That would depend a lot on the machine, especially if it's
absolutely.
Something
there's a number of different algorithms that could be run through. Like I'm thinking, Google.
Or also if it's something like one that has the specialized terminology that shows up for a game, for instance. I could see developing, say, a translation thing specifically for translating FF14 stuff that would have a lot of recognized terms.
True.
This is something
Deep
They
breaths,
tell-
Sarah.
No, this is something that they tell you, like, oh, hey, this is a thing that's not usually going to come up in library school, but it comes up more than you think. Like the questions of intellectual property law, this actually comes up more than you might expect, especially in a modern digital culture. So this is something I find deeply fascinating and can and will talk for hours about, as I was about to
Cough.
demonstrate.
Cough.
It's interesting. The entire
It
concept
is.
of
That's
intellectual
still gonna
property.
pick on you though.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah. All right. So those were the major topics that we wanted to discuss today. And yeah, we hit 2 hours.
There's a lot
Yay!
going on. Stuff had been quiet for so long,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, all of this at once.
Boom. Yeah,
a lot
it's
of good
nice.
info. Like I said, we got to talk about a lot of 7. We got to talk a lot about a 14. It was really good. So hope you guys enjoyed this. Like I said, this was all just based off of other people's translations of what was said. Yeah, we have a little less than 2 weeks now until we get 5.2. So there's a lot to look forward to in that. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we go?
No, but quick reminder on timelines. If you haven't, we said at the top of the show, but reminder that voting for the Valentines event stuff, the event doesn't end for another week or so, but voting for that ends soon.
Now. It ends like now.
No, it doesn't end until
the 9th.
Yeah, tomorrow morning, Sunday morning at 6:59 a.m. Pacific time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, although there's been a little less excitement about the prizes this time around, the Moogle Treasure Trove Hunt for Soul Tree is continuing until the launch of patch 5.2.
So a week and a half.
Yep. You'll also want to make sure to spend any leftover, irregular tomestones of mythology. I had actually
Soldiery,
been saving
I
those.
thought. Wasn't it?
No, mythology, because soldiery is what you're getting right now.
Oh, fair enough.
Mythology is the stuff from the previous exchange. You cannot get anymore, but you can still trade them in for a bit longer.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Because I had saved mine just to see if I could get the Orchestrion rolls before from Dragonskin maps instead of having to spend it on there.
Gotcha.
And then it turns out that they announced that they were putting up those same Orchestrion rolls again with the soldiery, and so the prices crashed a bit, and so I went ahead and bought them, and now I can buy some other stuff.
Woo.
Yeah, lucky me.
Yeah, I will probably be getting that stupid Namazu necklace, even though it's hideous, but it's the only thing that on the list that I really don't have.
Yeah, is there anything that really leaps out at me?
I mean, for those who don't want to do the ARR Beast Tribes, getting those mounts is definitely worthwhile, because it will take a long time to get them.
I'm probably going to go for the Magitech Predator identification key, because I never got that.
Well, if you need to run Alamigo, let us know.
Yeah, but I might just get buy the damn thing outright.
Fair enough. What about you, Taliz? Anything else you want to throw out there?
No, I think I'm good. I mean, I'm just excited that we're finally going to have some really solid content and that we're going to be busy for the next at least 2 or 3 weeks to get us through to 5.2.1. I think kind of that room between 5.0 and 5.1 was so long.
Actually, I didn't think it was that bad this time.
It wasn't too bad, but it was definitely a little slow.
We were definitely remember, there were some weeks recently where we weren't 100% sure what we were going to talk about on the show.
Recently, yeah, but I mean, he was talking 5.0 to 5.1.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
So, anyway. So then I guess that's going to do it for this episode, guys. If you liked what you heard, make sure to like, subscribe, or follow us out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever your preferred podcatcher is. And make sure to leave us a rating or review. It helps other people find our show and helps us grow in the community, as well as lets us know what you think. If you really dig the show, please consider subscribing here at twitch.tv/PhoenixDownRadio. Or you can go out to patreon.com/PhoenixDownRadio and support us out there, like our amazing friend, Aurori Fenrir.
You're the best, Aurori.
She is actually the best. She's awesome.
She's the best.
All the proceeds. No, now you just demonetize us. Thanks a lot. I'm taking it all.
That's what I do.
I'm taking it out of your paycheck.
You don't pay me.
Not that paycheck.
Oh, shit.
All proceeds go towards growing the show, covering things like hosting costs, and allows us to do fun things like some giveaways, like when we hit some major milestones, and we can do some other fun stuff like that. But any kind of support, whether it's emails, likes, tweets, or retweets, follows, subs, or donations, they're always greatly appreciated because we love interacting with you guys and the rest of the community. If you want to check out our backlog of episodes and a few articles out there, like I don't know how long ago it was, but it was quite a while ago when Sarah actually wrote a Lorebrarians extra on the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Back when I had spare time.
Which you should do another one of those coming up soon. You can go out to our website, phoenixdownradio.com. If you have questions, comments, or anything like that, you can always email us, podcast@phoenixdownradio.com. Make sure to follow us out on Twitter @PHXDNradio. And if you are new to us or listening to us on the podcast, come join us live sometime out at twitch.tv/PhoenixDownRadio. Shout out time, guys. Taliz, you want to go first?
Sure. Shout outs to my awesome friends in Unity, who I look forward to seeing again shortly. Shout outs to Ruby Honoka from Cactuar, who has been super helpful during this trip to Japan. And shout outs to you two for letting me continue to be a host on the podcast from 6,000 miles away.
Well, it's only temporary. The 6,000 mile part, not the hosting thing.
I was gonna say, wait.
Gotta love that misunderstanding bit, huh?
It's fine.
Definitely a misunderstanding.
And how can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at TalizMarvelous, TALIZ Marvelous on Twitter. Message me if you're going to PAX East. I definitely want one of those scarves. Yeah. Tokyo's great. I can't wait to be home, though.
Right on. Seyrr?
All right. Shout out, I guess as usual, to Kyle Spender for bouncing a bunch of ideas about the trailer with me earlier.
Happy birthday!
Yeah, happy birthday, dude. You're older than me now for like a month. Woo!
Isn't he always a month older than you?
I mean, yeah, but if we're like rounding off to whole numbers.
Good Lord.
Look at me. I'm Klauss. I'm going to hit that one on my soundboard about technically correct.
No, I'm gonna do.
Oh, damn it.
That's worse.
Even when I'm trying to mock you, you can't play along.
You are technically correct. The best kind of correct.
Now you do it!
Oh my god. Everything is terrible. I love it.
Yeah,
You
pretty
triggered
much,
my
pretty
trap
much.
card.
Shout out to Xian, who gave me a lot of information about Eureka, so I didn't stumble around too much and mess things up when I was doing Pagos earlier.
Yay.
Yeah, it was actually really helpful and reassuring to hear that stuff and to hear that this is a time to do it, all things considered.
What, now we're NPR?
No.
All things considered?
I mean, I would be okay with that. I generally like the NPR aesthetic.
This is PDR.
For a moment, I heard PBR and I was like, no, thank you. College was a while ago. No. Anyways.
What do we look like, hipsters?
Good Lord.
I mean, you got the beard for it.
You are technically correct.
Well played.
Yeah. And you can find me on Twitter at FF14Seyrr. That's FFXIV where I occasionally oh, that was weird. Oh, okay. Sorry, weird sound thing on my end. Where I occasionally post pictures of stuff that I cooked with friends or weird things that I found at the yeah, there's not a lot of activity there, but people seem to like it when I do stuff, so good for them, I guess.
You can always ask him questions there too.
Yeah.
Or hit us up on our Discord server as well.
I'm always happy to give explanations of lore-related things in-game or real-world links. The real-world links are sometimes even more fascinating to me. As I said, on Twitter or on the Discord, or pretty much anywhere else you find me. I will pretty much drop whatever I am doing to answer an interesting question, no matter where I happen to be. This has caused problems in my life before.
No way.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a problem.
Aw.
I like turtles.
And I want to shout out to Taliz and Seyrr. Thank you again so much for joining me on this shit show. Well, no, we're not She Heals, I Tank. We are... Yeah. Anyway, we have a lot of fun. Shout out to Aurori for being an awesome supporter of the show. Shout out to everybody here live at twitch.tv/PhoenixDownRadio. Shout out to Avi Ale at She Heals I Tank. I have been doing a lot of discussion with her recently since we learned when and where FanFest is going to be. We have been doing some discussing on if we're going to be doing any type of event as the creators group. So like I said, follow us for information on that, and we'll be posting that as soon as we have some, more solid information, or if we have questions on things that people would like to do.
I just want to throw out, it was kind of amazing to see how practically instant it went from, okay, the location has been announced, to how quickly people sprung into action to start making plans, put together ideas. Clearly everyone waiting eagerly for that information, and the moment they got it, it went into action.
Well, I guess that means this community likes to get together and party and drink.
Oh yeah, I actually know several people who said that the main reason they would go to FanFest is to see a lot of their friends from the game.
Yep, I'm excited to be able to go this year, so I'm just beyond happy. So, and shout out to basically anybody listening out on the podcast. I really do appreciate you guys. If you want to follow me, like I said, you can hit me up on Twitter at PHXDN_KLAUSS. You can also email me, Klauss at PhoenixDownRadio.com as well. And like I said, if you're interested in joining us for that axe throwing on March 7th, do let me know as soon as possible, either by email or by Twitter, so I can get the right number of people for reservation. So for my co-hosts, Taliz Marvelous and Seyrr Tomono, I am Klauss Nightbringer, wishing everybody a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care.
Phoenix Down Radio is a production of PhoenixDownRadio.com and Illusion Productions. Final Fantasy XIV and Eorzea are trademarks of Square Enix. In-game content for Phoenix Down Radio is the copyright of Square Enix. Opening music for Phoenix Down Radio is provided by Guilty Gear Rock You. Check out the Metal Chocobo theme cover and many other music videos at youtube.com/Guilty Gear Rock You. Closing music for this episode is provided by Guitar Wanker 90. Please check out the full version of Matoya's Cave and other rock video game covers at youtube.com/Guitar Wanker 90. The views and opinions expressed in this episode are those of Phoenix Down Radio and its hosts and do not reflect the views of Square Enix.